And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Elite Dangerous Law Tour with me, your host, drewwagar. Just riffing off the chat there, so that was good fun. Dear. What can I say? Anyway, lovely to have you all aboard. Thank you for joining me this evening. We're back to the law this evening. So every so often the tour is going to be interspersed with an interview, but not tonight, right? So we are back to learning about the background to Elite Dangerous. And I will do my best to guide you through, the topics, right? So hopefully you've all had a chance to look at the itinerary that I published up. So we're going different places. So this week is all about generation ships and hyperspace. So it's a bit of a techie episode about the technology of the future, right? So that's all going to be good fun. Now, I hope more law. That's exactly what we want. More law. More typos. More spelling mistakes. More memes. All good fun. Anyway, I hope you are all well, right? Okay, we just got back from clapping the NHS, so that is all good. And apparently, according to our Prime Minister, we're past the peak. So hopefully that's good news, but I remain sceptical at this point in time, so we'll have to wait and see, right? But let's see how that goes. But anyway, there we go. Right, so with no further ado, those of you joining me in-game, you need to be heading to the the Nefer something system. Where the hell are we going? I can't remember. I've got it plotted. Let me go and do this. Right, full screen, because this is all professional, right? I know exactly what I'm doing. The Nefertim system. Okay, we're not going to the Netherlands. No, we've been there. Right, head for the Nefertim system. I can see thousands of people are already there, so I better get my Aspin gear, right? I'm back in my Cobra, obviously, so off we go. Now, I've already had a wing invitation from Athlin Sorn, so that's been accepted. So basically, that's first come, first served, right? So I'm on my way there, so we'll meet you there. It's not too many jumps for me, but there we go. Nefertim system is the place that we want to rendezvous, and we will go from there. So if you want to wing up with Athlin Sorn and see if you can join me in my group, obviously in the drewwagar private group, and we can head in that sort of direction, right? I suppose I ought to get my frameshift drive pointing in the right direction, otherwise I'm not going to get anywhere. So just to recap on those for the law. So for those of you who've missed previous episodes, it's all being republished, if you like, on YouTube. So if you have missed previous law episodes, you can go find it on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/drewwagar. Fairly obvious. You'll find it. It's got its own category there on in Elite Dangerous Law. So that's nice and easy for you to find. And you can catch up on previous episodes there. Obviously, you can't join in the chat because it's been recorded, right? So if you want to join the chat, you're in the right place now. So if you're watching this offline, you missed it. So apologies for that, but there we go, never mind. What can I do, right? Okay, so I've done my best. There's always a problem with these things, right? I've done my best to publicise it. So I stick it on Twitter, and I stick it on Reddit, and I stick it on Facebook, and I stick it on the forums, and I stick it, I can stick it anywhere I like, really, but you know what I mean. And some people complain, oh, stop overhyping it. And then other people complain, why didn't I get told? So it's an impossible balance to find, but there we go. Never mind. So it's wonderful to have your company this evening. And I look forward to hopefully popping into an instance and seeing lots of you in lots of you in the instance ahead. So fingers crossed that Elite Dangerous plays nicely for us in the Nefertim system. That's not the only place we'll be going, but we'll start there. And the reason is fairly obvious. I'm sure some of you know that in the Nefertim system is a generation ship, one of the first that we're going to go visit today. So let me just get there. I don't know how many jumps there are. I've got, there we go, next jump, so I'm almost there, so fingers crossed, and I can see Commander Athlin Sorn directly ahead, so that's good. Actually, I better do a little bit of refueling while I'm here, and let's just get that sorted. So generation ships and hyperspace in the lore. Okay, so last time we did lore update, we were talking about the Empire and how the Empire had formed out of kind of disagreements with the Federation, right? So the Federation is very much a kind of like the US, right? It was formed out of the remnants of the United States at the end of the Third World War, and it kind of took over the Sol system, right? So go America. You guys won, okay? Ultimately, in the elite law, and everything, all the other governments basically said, right, we'll just join the United States, but we'll rename it because we kind of want to get away from the history of that. And that's the origin of the federations, right? But a few people weren't happy with that, and they tried to get away from it, and they founded the empire, and they travelled across space and founded the empire in the sort of 24th century by this point in time. Now, there's the period of history that we're interested in tonight is basically between 2200 mostly and 2800. So it's quite a big chunk of the elite law, right? About 600 years. Right, so I can see ships here. I see a couple of ships. I can see my wingman as well. Right, I think, let me just double check where we're going. I should know this off the top of my head, but there's a lot to remember, right? There's a lot to remember. We are going to planet 6A. You should be looking for the generation ship Thetis. The generation ship Thetis around planet 6A. Now, I'm not sure if it shows up as a POI. In fact, I've got to do an FSS scan of this system because I've got nothing at all. Right? I've got to remember how to do this. No, throttle down. There we go. Right. Right. So let me just do an FSS scan. If I remember how to do it. Can't. No, wrong button. That one. Right. What's the FSS? See, I haven't done this for so long. I've forgotten my key binding. It's got to be one of these. There we go. That's it. Right. I've done my scan. That should tell me where we're going. Right. Let's get back out of this mode. Right. So I want planet 6A. There we go. There we go. Generation ship Thetis. Right. So that's where we're going. Right. Because this is an example of a generation ship. Okay. So now we know the first generation ship. Yeah, my muscle memory is focused on the Spectrum Elite. That's Saturdays, right? So yeah, so right, there's Super Cruise Assist. I can keep my hands off throttle and stick. So that's where we're going. So the first generation ship was called the Mayflower, right? Left in 2097. Now, according to the original Elite law, there were 70,000 generation ships launched. Now, given that these things are pretty damn massive, right? 70,000 is a frankly unbelievable number. It's just way too big. So I think it's kind of one of those things that was in the original manual. And they kind of glossed over it at the time, but it was picked up in Elite Dangerous, right? Never mentioned in any of the other elites, but it was picked up in Elite Dangerous, and the number's been reprinted in Galnet, right? So the explanation that is in Galnet for generation ships is that most of them did reach their destination, right? So yeah, one a day for every 10 years. That's a lot of ships, right? Especially when they're like 2 kilometers long or whatever it is. You know, that's a lot of ships to build, okay? And most of the generation ships were kind of pre-hyperspace or very, very early hyperspace tech. Most of them are not hyperspace because if you have hyperspace, you don't need a generation ship, right? The whole idea behind a generation ship is you pile it full of people, and you have it goes through space at a very, very relatively slow rate, below light speed, in order to get to its destination, right? And in doing so, the original people who set out have children. Those children grow up to man the ship. They have children that grow up to man the ship until eventually it gets to its destination. Hence the name a generation ship. Okay, there are multiple generations of colonists aboard. The idea being that once you get to your destination, presumably you go into orbit around it. You decamp from the generation ship and you settle the planet. And the explanation for the fact that there are so many generation ships in the lore is that the vast majority of them did in fact get to their destinations and settle ships, right? And yes, that could be, Blue Gammy's quite right, that could be the explanation for the missing Phobos and Deimos, right? Is that maybe they got turned into generation ship behavior. But that doesn't explain why they didn't exist in 3250. I did ask, some of you may have noticed, I did ask Frontier whether about the Phobos and Deimos question. They've not answered. So read into that what you will, right? Maybe it's some super mystery. But no, I've asked them a few questions in regards to the lore, and they've been utterly silent. In fact, I don't think they've even been streaming, unless I've been missing something. I used to pop into their Monday and Thursday streams, but I don't think they've streamed since the fleet carriers have come out, have they? Yeah, kind of, it's all gone a bit quiet. But anyway, that regardless, so we haven't had an answer about the Phobos Deimos mystery. And as for the generation ships, right, most of them, they have just streamed. Okay, so cool. I must have missed that. I was oddly enough, I was watching Star Trek Next Generation. So there we go. Okay, they are streaming again. That's cool. Oh, I got disengaged. There we go. I thought it did that automatically. Oh, it did. It's. Oh, I got blue tunneling, so it's trying to presumably drop me into the instance. There we go. They're too afraid of questions about. Yeah, I haven't really. I must admit, fleet carriers are going to be completely out of my. I think I may have an instancing problem here. Oh no, there we go. Right, how many of you are here? I can see a few of them. Right, so this is the generation ship Thetis. Now, if you are so inclined, I can see some ships. Who have I got here? I've got Commander Lance, Commander Ridley, a few other ships about. Just a Cobra Mark. Commander Ariok. There's a few folks here. So anyway, so make yourself known. So this is the generation ship Thetis, right? So I'm just going to park a little bit out, and if you want to come in and do your thing, for the moment, I shall zoom out. There we go. No. Oh, too many damn buttons. There we go. That'll do. Right. How do I zoom out? I did this before. Was it? There we go. Right, and hide the UI. There we go. It looks better for stream. I got told off for not doing this in the stream, right? It's to zoom out so that I can see most of you. Although I discovered there was an interesting sort of slight, not bug, I don't think, but it seemed to be a thing whereby you could either knock my ship or knock my camera PI. Move everything off target. So people had great fun with that last week. But there we go. There's a few ships appearing here in the thesis. So again, Nefertim system, Planet 6A, and the generation ship Thetis. That's where we are heading out. So these generation ships were sent out from the end of the 21st century for a number of years, right? In my head, and this is a little bit weird in the lore, in my head, a generation ship has to predate hyperdrive, right? Has to predate hyperdrive, because why would you bother building a generation ship that is a sublight vessel? Okay, these are sublight vessels. If you had a hyperdrive system, right? Because you know, new tech is always coming on stream, and this is one of the big problems with, and this has been explored in quite a few other science fiction environments, right? Is you know, you send out your initial round of spaceships into the galaxy, and then but they're overtaken really quickly by better tech from the homeworld, right? So, well, these generation ships these generation ships are effectively obsolete almost straight away, because the first one launches in 2097, and we've pegged the date for the invention of the hyperdrive, which is also in the lore, right? As about only 100 years later is the first time they managed to come up with a working hyperdrive. So trying to get all these generation ships launched and on their way is compressed into a very small piece of the history of the time. But it takes us a long time to develop hyperspace technology, right? It takes a long time for us to get it working. And that's something we're going to kind of explore, flying coach class. So it's a bit of a weird thing, but 70,000 of these ships were supposed to launch. They were aimed at, and you remember the Federation had done effectively a kind of exoplanet survey with hyperspace capable space probes in the lore. So they had hyperspace, but maybe it wasn't safe to use for humans, or maybe they couldn't expand it beyond a certain mass, or something like that. It's not entirely clear. The lore is a bit vague about this, right? And as a result, they had established there were habitable or terraformable planets out in the the relatively near confines of the galaxy. Now, these generation ships could only travel at sublight speeds, right? They could travel maybe half the speed of light, maybe a bit more than that, depending on the technology they used. As a result, they haven't gone that far away from the Earth, okay, from the Solar System. If I look on the galactic map, let me just go back inside my ship for a moment. Oh, I'm getting lots. The chat goes a bit bananas. Let me just see if anybody's just left me a friend request. I think it's gone a bit crazy. Never mind. Anyway, someone's chaffing me. Look at the galaxy map, right? So if I just lock on to Sol for a moment, Sol isn't very far away, right? 53 light years. So this ship didn't go very far at all, right? So it got 53 light years in many generations. So it's sublight, right? Okay, this is pre-hyperdrive tech we're talking about here. So the ship is, as you would expect, right? Let's go into the free camera suite again. Let me just zoom out. Is very low tech. Okay, so you've got like a spinning carousel to do artificial gravity, and you know what other stuff can we see from the ship? It's got storage containers. It's got kind of habitation rings, which are very old school. There's some sort of reaction-based drive system right at the back there, and you can see some sort of hydroponic style domes over there, maybe to grow food and so on and so forth. It doesn't look like a great deal of space for growing food. Now the design of the ship's quite interesting, right? What's this big thing at the front? All right, okay, what's the big thing at the front? So I'm just going to drive around the ship for a bit, so feel free to follow me. I'm going to see if I can drive it in. Actually, no, that's not going to work. I will crash, and I don't want to crash. So I'm just going to carefully, I'm just conscious of lots of other ships about me, I'm just going to take a bit of a tour around the actual ship itself, so feel free to follow me around. Let's turn on the external lights here. So we've got, let's start at the beginning here. So I'm just going to sort of bank around this. We've got this sort of structure at the front, right, which on a traditional ship maybe that's where you'd put the bridge, right, but I could switch on my night vision. That's a good suggestion. There we go. So you can. There you are. I mean, that just gives us an idea of the structure, right? So let's just zoom in down there. Don't want to use night vision all the time. It sort of takes away some of the charm, but at least you can see the structure of the ship, right? It's quite big. Now, so you've got the front of the ship has got this massive, kind of vast array. I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to gauge how far away I am from it, to be honest. That's one thing I'd like in Elite, actually, is a range indicator, right? But have I got my lights on? Yeah, I have. So you can see it's a massive thing. I don't know if there some windows on that central stub. Yeah, so there's some stuff in there, right? Now we probably, if there's anybody on board this one, I can't remember the story of this particular ship. Most of the ones that we find, the stories are pretty sad, right? And I'm not intending to go through and listen to all the stories, but we might pick and choose a few. But they're worth listening to, right? Because a lot of them are voice acted, and they're all, dare I say it, they're all quite Michael Brooksy, right? And I mean that in a nice way, because Michael Brooks is a big fan of kind of horror and dark stories and kind of apocalyptic type stories. So, and I know that he's behind a lot of the Generation ship kind of internal stories. So, they've got the ones that they've got quite dark tones, right? So it is worth. I think it's probably this one is actually one of the better ones. So we probably will have a listen to this. See if we can just go and scan it. Now, what we're doing here, actually, according to the original Elite law, is actually quite illegal, right? It was a kind of throwaway comment, because in the Michael Brooks Bringer of Death here, in the original game, in the original Elite, of course, Generation ships were mentioned in the manual, but they didn't really exist in the game, right? So they were as described as we see them, sublight vessels churning their way through space at semi-relativistic speeds, i.e. good fractions of the speed of light, but not faster than the speed of light. And basically Galcop, which was the organisation at the time of the original Elite game, which again is another subject we'll get to, basically said the penalty for interfering with these vessels is marooning. If you interfere with a Generation ship, you will be effectively extradited. You will be cut off from all rest of human contact. It's like a proper capital punishment type. I mean, not capital punishment in the sense of death, but it's kind of like you are cut off from the rest of civilization for interfering with one of these ships. So it was a big deal. You're not supposed to go near them. So us sitting around flickering our lights and spinning around the ship. Probably not great, right? You know, okay, so we, in the original Elite lore, we would be running a bit of risk by doing this. But it's you know, it is what it is. Now, the design of the ship. Now, this ship is probably, I'm not quite sure what date this particular one is from. We'll find out maybe when we have a look at the logs. But it kind of implies that it's for generation ships that are still in flight, right? So if we do discover one in the system, someone's trying to do some damage to it. You know, they are relics of a time long gone, right? And Galcop, of course, now doesn't exist. So you know, maybe that's been rescinded for the anarchic nature of the Elite Dangerous Galaxy as it is today. But you know, let's look at this design again. This ship. It's got this massive panel on the front. Now, knowing my sort of science fiction lore as I do, this can be a number of things, right? It is possibly a solar panel, but I think it's more likely that is actually a shield for the rest of the ship. Okay, because when you're traveling at, you know, a good fraction of the speed of light, but in normal space, any kind of debris in front of you, even when it's atomic, right, is likely to be quite dangerous. So a shield to protect the rest of the ship from any kind of damage is a good thing to have. And this is, I think, potentially a physical shield, right? Just to kind of cut a swathe through space. So it might be a completely just a solid structure, right, aimed at deflecting space dust. And maybe this thing in the front here that somebody is firing at emits some sort of electromagnetic field. You know, classic shield technology as we have in the game today, which, you know, stops lasers, stops missiles, and all sorts of things, obviously didn't exist when these ships were made, right? So they're just physical lumps of a spaceship, maybe they need a shield in order to do that sort of thing. So that's what I think the front structure is. And I know Michael Brooks, who probably had a big hand in designing the look and feel of these things. You know, he's a big fan of science fiction as well. So we see that, you know, I think that's a sort of shield there in the front of the ship. It's designed to be, as you can see, relatively lightweight. It doesn't need to be too thick, but basically it's something that's there to be destroyed if they do run into dust. Inside that, we've got what look like kind of hydroponic bays of some kind, and look how thin the structure of the ship is. Okay, so it's, you know, it's designed to just thrust in one direction at a very, very slow rate. Okay, so these ships, when they were launched, would have accelerated up to a fraction of the speed of light, but over a really, really long time. So the acceleration would have been in, you know, centimeters per second, right? It would have been really, really slow. And we can sort of see. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be. I might be able to do this. Let's see if I can get just alongside this anaconda here. Is that an anaconda? You can see, look, there. If I can just train my lights. Look, there's loads and loads of. I don't know what that is. Is that cabbage or? There's loads of stuff to eat, right? But it's all vegetables. But there's no sign of any activity in there, right? So there's some sort of hydroponics going on in there. And you know, actually, credit to Frontier on the graphics here. I've never noticed. Look, there's shadows and all sorts of things going on in there, based on where I'm sort of firing my light. So it's, you know, they're growing their own food. It's a self-contained Cabbage Forever. Yeah, it reminds me of Silent Running. Silent Running is an excellent film. For those of you who haven't seen it, check that out, and you'll see where the inspiration for some of these designs come from. Right, Silent Running has exactly this in it, pretty much. So it's a real trope of science fiction. So a little bit of homage, perhaps, to films like that, right? And then down the side here we have. I don't know, maybe storage bays, fuel pods, oxygen supplies. Who knows what's in these bits, right? It's like a kind of Mary Celeste in space. There's, you know, very little activity. Very little. There's, you know, we can see windows here. We can see that there is no activity. Everything's dark, so it's all kind of quite disturbing. And this, I'm assuming, is like a carousel. But as you can see, it is no longer rotating. We can only assume that these areas would have been rotating to give you centrifugal force, or centripetal force, should I say, in order to generate a sort of pseudo-gravity, right? Like the space stations that we still have. That's one thing that's a little bit weird in the Elite Dangerous universe, is there is no anti-gravity technology. Is it rotating or not? Maybe it is. Oh no, it's slowly rotating. Sorry, that's my mistake. I probably don't want to sit there then, do I? Let me just move out. I'm just going to rotate around there then, because it didn't look like it was rotating. Maybe it is. Maybe I was just from the perspective I was at. So is it rotating? Oh, it is rotating. Yeah. So that's entirely my fault. So yeah. So that is still rotating away at a slow rate to generate some centripetal force to generate some gravity, some inertia, right? Nice way to do that kind of stuff. And there's various other bits and pieces here, and there's we can see Interstellar Logistics. There's a few names and things on the side of the ships, right? Of these crates, which again give you little clues as to what was going on. But it's old tech, right? It's low tech stuff, and there are, as you can see, there are some data points. I need to, in order to access these, I need to swap my data links again. That's the one, isn't it? Oops. My poor Cobra. I'm going to have to switch some stuff off. Let's turn that off. Don't need the planetary vehicle hanging at the moment, do I? Whoops. Now I've completely knackered things. What did I do there? That's what I've done. Let's turn those kind of things. Right, yeah, I don't really want to switch my live support off. That would be very bad. Let's turn that off. Let's turn that off. I don't need that sort of stuff on at the moment. Right, so hopefully that's got my data link scanner operational. Now I think I've got to get quite close to these things. So it's worth doing these, right? Why am I not getting my scanner off? No, the sensors are on. Not quite sure why I'm not picking that up. Anyway, never mind. We can do that in a bit. So anyway, so just finishing off our tour of the actual ship itself. Down the bottom end here are the engines, right? Or at least what we assume are engines. And they're massive, right? But they're some sort of low-tech reaction drive. And they're long dead, right? Maybe they're out of fuel, who knows, right? It's but this is what would have been pushing the ship around, and ultimately, presumably, and they're so big that you can fit a Imperial Courier inside the exhaust nozzle. They are hugely massive, right? So they are quite scary in size. I mean, this ship has got to be I don't know, kilometre long, maybe 2 kilometres long. It's pretty big, right? It's not small. I'm not sure why I'm not getting. I'm getting the generation ship. Why am I not getting the? I need to scan the main sensor. Ah, right. So where's the main sensor? Is that at the front here? Donk. I'm just going to find it. I ought to do this. Oh, it's in the middle, right? Okay. Okay. Oh, no, sorry. It's in the middle. All right. Scan the whole ship. Oh, okay. Right. So how do I scan the whole ship? Just. Ah, right. Okay. That's how you do it. Ah, there we go. Right. So I've got. Oh, someone's got stuck. Right. So have I got a target now? I've got something. It is spinning very slowly, quite right. Oh, hang on, there's a whole bunch of targets over there. I always find this bit, it's not the easiest thing to... There we go, right. That's the ship. Right, I'm going to scan these. How many are there? Are there 5? Oh, that's the way to do it, yeah. Duh. Have a look at my contacts. Yeah, forgotten. Right, ship lock uplink 0. Right, lock onto that. Let's go get that one. Right, I'm just going to quickly scan these and then we can go and play them. So yeah, so these ships are ancient tech, right? They are properly old things. Is that on this side of the ship or is it on the other side? Can I scan it? Oh, I think that's on the other side of the ship. You do have to be a little bit careful navigating around these things, right? Somebody else has got the right idea. There it is at the top. So yeah, these are worth doing. Right, so let me get that one. So hopefully I should get I get a little message telling me discovered logs. There we go. Good. Right. So that's the first one. Let's get the second one. Clunk. So let's just fly around here. So these generation ships are definitely worth exploring. There are quite a few of them. I think there's about 20 or so. Somebody in the chat will tell me how many there are. And they were put in game, I think in version 2.2 or 2.3. Oh, there are 16. Right, there we go. Not quite in range. Not quite sure what the range is for this. Always seems to be further than I want it to be. There we go. That gives you a little flicker. There we go. Right, number 2. There were 5 of them. Oop. Just be careful of all the other ships that are flying about. Right, where is it? There's a massive anaconda in the way. Right, let me just get this. There we go. Go, 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 go. Not quite in range. There we go. That one. And number 3. This is actually easier than it used to be, right? Because it used to be really hard to navigate around these things. That looks like it's down the other end of the ship. There we go. So around we go. So we've got to be a bit careful. There's bits of string and all sorts here holding that dish together. So okay, I'm just going to make sure I back out the right way. Don't want to get tangled. Occasionally the collision detection on Leak Dangerous goes a little bit awry, so do bear that in mind if you're flying around here. Wagar Law Tours will not be held responsible for any loss or damage to your vessel. Right, and there's the 4th one. I'm doing amazingly here, having not hit anybody, but that's all good. Right, so there it is. Just underneath there. Right, let's get that last one. Come on, why are you not? There we go. Right, I think I've got off them. Right, I'm just going to back off gently. I'll switch to the external camera and then we can. So yeah, so 70,000 ships, right? Seems just a tad unlikely, really, doesn't it? Yeah. So I tend to agree with you on that one, but it was stated in the original law, so we can't really argue with that too much. Because otherwise we have to get rid of the entire original law, and I don't really want to do that because there's cool stuff in it. So that's it. So all of these are launched right from the year 2097 onwards, and they colonise most of the rest of what we nowadays call the bubble. Okay, so overall these ships were actually quite successful, right? Okay, so probably maybe 90% plus of them did in fact reach their destinations. Quite a lot of them presumably just get lost. Some may still be on their way, right? Particularly, you know, we're the first one was launched in the 21st century. It's now the 34th century. Some of them could still be in transit, but they'll be much further away from the bubble than these ones, right? We don't really know. No more have been found recently. It's just a fallback for the content. Yeah, who knows, right? You know, so this is one of many. Yeah, it's a good point actually. We've only got 15 to 20k systems, so maybe maybe a lot of them are still on the move. Who knows? It's difficult to say. Or maybe there were multiple generation ships going to each planet. Okay, you can imagine that too potentially. You might have fail safes, right? So it might not be one generation ship per colonizable system. You might send multiple ones, hoping that hopefully some of them get there, right? Yeah, so they're all sent out, right? They're all sent out, and some of them make it and they colonize the world. Some of them things go wrong. And that's some of the stories that we find on these abandoned generation ships. So let's listen to this one. I'm just going to go back and let's pick up the story and find out what's going on. So discovered logs. There we go. So this one is, I think, a little bit spooky. This is very Michael Brooksy, right? So here we go.
Still all quiet out here in the black. Just had our very first 9th gen child born on ship. That takes the current population to 17,401. Other than that, nothing out of the ordinary. Apart from reports from some residents at the northern end of C deck. They've heard some kind of strange whispering sound coming from their apartment comms unit. I'm sure it's nothing, but I've dispatched a member of tech to investigate.
Okay, so strange whispering noises in the dark.
We have an emergency situation on board. Some kind of epidemic. It's driving people insane. I've managed to source it to a digital signal that keeps broadcasting within the comms array. It started on C deck, but now the entire population of deck C to F has been massacred. They just went crazy and started killing each other. I've isolated a signal, so it stopped for now. Just trying to identify the source. It should be easy enough to delete the beacon if I can find the right frequency. I want to know what the message says, but I'm just too scared to listen.
Ooh, so freaky, freaky messages in the depths of space. Where could that be coming from, right?
I've done it. I've managed to decrypt the signal and identify the source. But it's even more confusing than I thought. The signal originates from an uninhabited planet we passed 15 light years ago. Who sent it and how it managed to infect the comms array, I have no idea. That's the good news. The bad news is I heard the message. I was trying to run it through the translator and I forgot the speaker was on. It's the same message relayed again and again and again. It's more a whisper than anything else. It says, kill them all.
It's so Michael Brooks. It's brilliant.
Blood everywhere. Spread on the walls. People have started writing words in it, but it's a script I can't identify. I'm alone now on the comms deck. Pearson was the last one with me, but I had to stab him in the throat to stop him. I can't remember what I had to stop him doing, but he's dead now. I can hear people out there. Some of them are still walking around. Some of them are barely breathing. I have to find them. I have to silence them.
Oh yeah, classic. Cut it off as static. Nice. And the last one. It's just right, really right. Okay, so they're really good, right? I love those. I think they're fantastic. I mean, that is so Michael Brooks. Is unbelievable, right? But really good story. It's definitely not. It's definitely not a happy one. And to be honest, the vast majority. Ooh, I'm getting some amazing light effects there. The vast majority of the generation ship stories are not all that happy, right? We don't know when that recording was made. Actually, yeah, very interesting. Actually, if you look at the timings, we don't know what they mean, right? It says comms log 905.2.34. You know, it doesn't give us the actual year, right? We don't know where the ship was when it passed this planet that infected them with a weird comms thing. So really difficult to backtrack. But it's got to be somewhere between here and Sol, right? Because that's where Sol came from. So again, if we look at the galaxy map, going back to Sol, right? They've travelled. What was it? It wasn't that far, was it? Let's just log on to Sol again. So there's Sol. 53 light years away. There's where the ship is now. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it went on a straight line between these two places. We don't know exactly what happened to the ship, right? But maybe one of these planets in between here is where this weird kill them all signal came from. Who would have done that? Maybe it was sabotage, right? We don't really know. So all sorts of weird and wacky stuff going on with those generation ships, right? So yeah, so the ones that we are actually able to see in game, most of them have got really kind of freaky stories and stuff. But the most recent one that was discovered, I forget exactly where it was, did actually have a live crew on board, right? And we were able to talk to them, and we disembarked them to a planet, which was quite cool. Who know? I mean, yeah, who knows, Commander Boyle? Maybe they'd use gravitational swing shots and altered course, and plotting their path would be tricky. Not impossible, because there's only a certain number of things it could have done, right? But yeah, weird and wonderful stuff. Now that's how a lot of the bubble got colonized, right? Who's making my screen go purple? I'm gonna keep moving slowly. There we go. Oh, that will put you off. So you scratched my paint. Okay, so generation ships did colonize a lot of the bubble. That's how most of the bubble started out, right? But it was superseded by the invention of hyperspace technology. Hyperspace technology, based on how you read the law, you do have to interpret it a bit, right? You do have to interpret it, but based on the way the law is written, the conflict that we talked about between the Empire and the Federation 2 weeks ago appears to have been conducted with ships that were capable of hyperspace in some form or another. Now, whether the jump range was really short, whether the recharge times were really high, whether the complexity of the systems or the reliability of the systems was poor in these early days, it's impossible to tell. We can only speculate. There is no detail in the law about exactly how the hyperspace tech worked and how it's developed. All we know is that a working hyperspace theory was actually figured out fairly early on in the Elite Dangerous Universe, right? 23rd century, it was discovered that hyperspace was a thing and we could access it, right? But it took a long time for us to industrialize it. Maybe it was really bulky technology, you know, and it's not entirely clear how hyperspace technology works in the Elite Dangerous Universe. I've asked Michael Brooks on 4 separate occasions, I think, at various conventions, like, is it a wormhole? No, it's not a wormhole. Okay. Is it an Alcubierre warp drive? No, it's not an Alcubierre warp drive. Is it folding dimensions and compressing space? No, it's not that. So I don't actually know what the technology is, even at a kind of law-y level, right? It's hyperspace. It's just hyperspace as far as the law is concerned. It's the Roddenberry answer. How do the inertial dampeners work? Very well indeed. So that was what was it? Oh, it's actually in the codex. Has it been updated? Okay, let me just check that. I hadn't realised that. Maybe that's been put in since I last looked. Let's go and have a look in the codex. Because I don't know everything, right? You know, I'm trying to guide you through the law. Let's just check that out. Where's it in there? Is it where is it in the codex? I was told it wasn't an Alcubierre warp drive. So okay, where would it be? Is it under one of these categories? So yeah, Supercruise is a different thing, right? Supercruise is not the same thing. Supercruise, I think, is an Alcubierre warp drive, but hyperspace isn't, right? Because you're traveling through some other medium. Codex is mostly, yeah. So maybe it's post. So where is it in the codex? Can somebody point it to me? I don't know where I would be looking, because there's no search facility, right? This is the 34th century. We don't have search facilities. Somebody will know where. Pilot's Handbook, is it in there? No. I'm looking for where it says Alcubierre warp drive mentioned. So anyway, somebody find it. I'd be interested to read what it says. We can update the law. This is part of the problem actually with Elite Dangerous, right? And doing a law tour is there have been and there are still retcons, right? Unfortunately, Frontier do keep changing their mind. And I will come across an example of this is hyperdrive tech, right? Okay, because I'm going to present to you how it was in the law when it was given to the writers, right, and how it came out of the original Elite games and all those various other bits and pieces. We're gonna go through that a little bit, okay? So apparently there's no Google in the 34th century. I can't search anything, which is really rather irritating. And so if somebody can find me anything in there, can't find a link to the Codex page. It might be in here somewhere. I'll be interested to know, right? Yeah, and we've got these things about the Dark Wheel and Raxter in here as well. When Supercruise, rather than accelerating, switch to the frameshift drive. Okay, so yeah, so the frameshift drive is slightly different. Okay, now it's confused a little bit, and I think this was a bit of a mistake actually in the way the game is presented. Okay, so the Guardian sticks. So, okay, so that's off the wiki. Now the frameshift drive, yes. Okay, that's a way of getting around in real space, right? So that's a way of effectively compressing space around, which is effectively how the Alcubierre warp drive works. So it's a type of warp drive. That's the frameshift drive, right? That's got more in common with Star Trek-y style warp drives, okay? So you're traveling in a compressed volume of space in order to travel immense distances, and you don't exceed light speed within your own frame of reference. That's sort of the Alcubierre warp drive, right? Okay, so that's the frameshift drive. Now the frameshift drive itself is a relatively new thing. Now what's interesting enough, when I'm not going to jump into frameshift at the moment, but when I charge my frameshift drive, right, I get, not surprisingly, so I'm just going to do the local, this is low wake, right? I'm not going to jump anywhere, so don't worry, but when I charge it, I get frameshift drive charging, right? I'm going to cancel that. When I jump, when I select my hyperdrive, so I want to go somewhere, right? So I've now got hyperdrive locked. When I do that, I get frameshift drive charging. So, is it the same tech or not? Okay, is it the same tech or not? This is not entirely clear. It certainly wasn't the same tech. Okay, it certainly wasn't the same tech. So now's the time for a little bit of a history tour. Okay. Now time for a little bit of a history tour on the hyperspace itself. Because we understand from the lore, it starts off early on. It appears to have been used for parts of the expansion. So the generation ships themselves become really, really obsolete quite quickly because hyperspace technology slowly takes over. But it takes us like 600 years to make hyperspace kind of viable, at least in a kind of commercial sense, which seems an awfully long time given how all the other technology in the universe has progressed really, really quickly, right? So it's a little bit odd. It's a little bit of a mystery. It takes us a long time to get to grips with hyperspace technology. And actually, even today in Galnet, the most recent Galnet article about hyperspace basically says that we still don't really understand how it works. It's a bit of a mystery still. So let's explore it from the perspective of the original game, and we'll find out. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because it's my favourite version, and I've done this a little bit on Saturdays. Those of you who join me on Saturdays will already know this, but we're going to use the original game for a moment. I'm just going to drop out into the original game, the original Elite. I'm going to use the ZX Spectrum version because I'm familiar with it, but there's no functional difference between it and the BBC version, but I'm just more familiar, and I've got the emulator on my PC, so I'm just going to fire that up. So we're going to drop, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we're going to jump into 8-bit mode, okay? So here it is, the Sinclair Zx Spectrum in all its glory, and I'm just going to switch to a screen which allows me to take advantage of it completely. There we go. Right, and I have on here Elite, okay? So again, those of you, this is 8-bit Elite, okay? We've gone right back in time, and I want to show you a hyperspace jump in this game, okay? So I'm not going to load a new commander because I don't have one on this account. That is a Python, by the way. You may have recognised the Cobra, and we're going to launch. Right, we are in the Lave system in the original game, and I'm just going to launch out. There's no sound effects. Okay, I'm going to launch out of the station itself, and here we are in space. Right. Okay. So, and if I turn around, you will notice an astonishing frame rate of at least 3 or 4 frames per second. You will notice there is a Coriolis space station. Okay, so it's all nice and familiar, right? So 8-bit Elite, and this is a Cobra. You'll notice some similarities with Elite, right? So okay, so you've got a scanner, you've got a compass, you've got shields, you've got missiles, and all sorts of various other bits and pieces. But what we're going to do is we are going to make a hyperspace jump, and I want you to observe this. Okay, we're doing 3.6 light years jump. I'm going to engage the hyperspace. We get a countdown. We travel through a tunnel, okay? Okay, and we arrive in another system, okay? We are now in the Leasty system, and we've used up some fuel, okay? Okay, so literally no difference. Yeah, exactly right. This is what I was playing in 1984-85, right? Okay, so that was a Hyperspace Jump. Now, in this era of Elite Dangerous, now this game, the 8-bit game, is set in the year 3125. Okay, so it's about 175 years before Elite Dangerous is set. Okay, hyperspace with this technology on this ship, the Cobra Mark III, as it is here, as you can see, is virtually instantaneous. It takes a few seconds to travel through hyperspace to get to your destination. All right, that's quite important. Okay, Cobra Mark IIIs have been around for a long time. It's a very old ship design. Okay, it's been refitted many times, but it's still an old design. Right, it's been around for a long, long time, many hundreds of years, which is another weird thing. Okay, we're not used to in our technology. You know, if you had a car like that was 300 years old and it's just their old design, you kind of wouldn't expect it to be of any use to anybody at all, right? Because technology would have moved on. But it seems in the Elite Dangerous universe that there are big periods of time where technology doesn't really advance at all for hundreds of years. And we just seem to be static. Okay, so and as you can see, we can jump fast. There seems to be, and it obviously is a gameplay thing, right? But in the lore, there's a hard limit of 7 light years. You can't exceed 7 light years with this, whatever this technology is. You can't exceed it. Okay, and that's the first time we see hyperspace in the universe of Elite, actually visually. Okay, so that's the technology. Now bear that in mind. Hyperspace, quick through some sort of tunnel to the the opposite location, right? So that's that. Now some of you will know. I'm just going to do this for your delectation and delight because I almost certainly won't survive this, right? I'm going to do something that you can't do in Elite Dangerous. It's called a misjump. Okay, I'm just going to reset the game because I need the fuel to do it. So apologies for that. So I'm going to just go back to the start. That's the Cobra Mark III once more. What I'm going to do here is I am going to do exactly what I did before. I'm just going to launch from the station. And as you can see, leaving the space station is exactly the same as hyperspace, but yeah, saving on memory and all that kind of stuff, right? So there we go. I'm going to stop. Now, on the Spectrum version and on the BBC version and various other versions of this 8-bit game, you can, it's kind of like a debug mode, but it's kind of like a hidden cheat, right? You can force a missed jump, okay? Or is it a hyperdiction? Who knows, right? Okay, so watch what happens when I force a missed jump. I'm going to pause the game. I'm going to put it into a special mode by pressing F. I think it's F. Is it F? I thought it was F. I usually get a beep noise from it. That's weird. I'm pretty sure it was F. I'm not hearing the beep. Why am I not hearing the beep? In fact, I've lost the ship. I've entirely lost the game as well. I think I may have crashed it. Let's try that again. It's always a live environment, right? Okay, let's try that again. Maybe I need to have the hyperspace locked. I'm just going to try that again. Hang on a minute. Okay, so, right, let's try locking on target. Right, I've got hyperspace locked. I want to pause the game. No, the game. Why is the game crashing on me? It's not supposed to do that. Let me try it one more time. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's a bit annoying. Could be because I'm running like 6 billion machine things on my machine at the moment. It should allow me to do this. Because I want to show you a misjump, right? Because you can't do it in Elite Dangerous. Right, so that's pause. It's crashing on me. This is annoying. That's really a shame. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me just try a save that I've got on here. Maybe that will help. So let's try that again. Right, there we go. Right, this might be working. Okay, right, we've got it back. Now, what I've done is I put the game into like a kind of debug mode. What should happen here is I should get hyperdicted something, right? Let's find out what happens. And I might have to demonstrate some 8-bit skills, okay? So we're in hyperspace. And with a bit of luck, yes, we have been hyperdicted. This is 8-bit hyperdiction, right? I'm gonna see how I do. In fact, I've got crappy guns on this ship, so I'm unlikely to survive this. These are the original Thargoids, right? Come on, can I kill one on stream? Come on. I'm going to ram it. Oh, I got away. I'm almost dead. Energy low. Oh, there's the ship. Come back, come back, come back, come back. It's quite hard to do this because I've got no yaw control, right? So let's get after it. Maximum throttle. In fact, the problem is if my energy runs out, I only get one. It's gonna kill me. I'm dead. I should have loaded my Saturday ship. Yeah, no, you have to come on the Saturday stream to watch it. But anyway, so that's a missed jump in the original game, right? So that's enough of that, right? So let's just go back. So what that was, right? Okay, partly about the obviously the Thargoids, right? In that we'll talk about the Thargoids later on, but you could misjump in the original game, and this is where the idea of witch space comes from. You may have heard this phrase, right? Witch space, as distinct, at least a bit, from hyperspace. Okay, so where does this all come from, right? Where does this all come from? Because in the original manual, it gets described as hyperspace is a strange environment which we travel through in order to get to our destination, right? And it's weird stuff can happen in hyperspace, okay, or witch space as it's referred to in the original Elite game. And it's called witch space because basically the novel that comes with it starts off with a line, some say witch space is haunted. Some say it's haunted by the ghosts of the ships that first went in but never came out. Okay, so witch space, what is witch space? And it's not entirely clear, right? Some people will insist, I think they're wrong, some people will insist that in those 8-bit games, right, the place that you ended up with the Thargoids was witch space. But according to the map, you're just in interstellar space in between two areas, right? So it's just normal space, but you just happen to be in between stars. So you drop out between the stars, and that's where the Thargoids grab you. I've always considered that witch space is that tunnel, okay? Witch space is the tunnel that you fly through, and it's got weird stuff going on in it. Now, I feel this was sort of confirmed when we first see Elite Dangerous hyperspace, right? It's got weird stuff going in it, right? Now, that looks like stars and nebulae and stuff flying past, right? But it can't be stars and nebulae flying past, because even if you do a short jump to a star which you can see, and there's nothing really in between you and it, right? You still see that stuff. So in the lore, you're traveling through some place to get to your destination, right? And it's a tunnel through something, and I think that is witch space as it's portrayed in the original game. So we see in the year 3125, which is where the original game is set, that we're traveling through something, okay? And maybe it's like the infinite improbability drive, right? We're not entirely sure, but in that era we have fast hyperspace travel. Now, something slightly weird happens. I'm just going to go and get, because this is quite important, I'm just going to get my original copy of Elite, right, and just show you the section. So excuse me for a moment. I'm just going to pull the universe aside and go and get it. So here we have my prized copy, right, of the original game, and it comes with its manual, and it has a section on hyperspace and making for other worlds. Here we go. Okay, beautiful manual. This, it's full of cool details. It's even got the star map in it, and all sorts of kind of good stuff. Right, so leaving the space station. There we go. Right, making for your target world. And there's various other bits and pieces in here. Right, now the bit I want is probably actually in the dark wheel itself. Let me just go and double check this. So this talks about something here, okay? And I'll read some little excerpts. This is from the original Dark Wheel. Okay, so this is the book that set the tone for Elite Dangerous Universe in the background. Okay, so they're in their ship. They've launched from a space station, and they get a voice from the space station saying, "Enter Faraway Jump." Remember the word Faraway, along channel 27 at 45 Orient. So you have to align your ship to get into hyperspace. Okay. There's an impending transit through hyperspace. Making a faraway jump, again that word, in a system as complex and crowded as Lave is no simple business. 100 eyes are watching you. Make a mistake and you won't be welcome when you come back. Okay. So that's important. Okay. You're going to maybe cover 7 light years in a few minutes, right? So it's in the law, right? You were able to cover. There we go. Just going to point it to the camera. This is important, right? There you go. Hopefully you can see that, right? You're going to cover maybe 7 light years in a few minutes. Now you might think that's a lot of space to get lost in, but that's not how it works. All right. Faraway is a tunnel, like any other tunnel, and inside that tunnel is the realm called Witch Space, a magic place, a place where the normal rules of the universe don't necessarily work. Every few thousand parsecs along the Witch Space tunnel, there are monitoring satellites, branch lanes and stop points and rescue stations, passing by all of those and performing perhaps 100 channels, 100 lines for ships to travel, each one protected against 2 dangers of hyperspace travel: atomic reorganization and time displacement. Jump on your own through hyperspace across more than half a light year. You'll be lucky enough to make the same universe, let alone your destination. Okay. So, now that's a bit weird. Okay. So it talks about Witch Space having monitoring stations and automated switch points, and it's like a railroad. Okay. It's got like switches and sidings and all sorts of channels and things that you can travel through. And that had to be built. Okay, that had to be built. Now, it's in the law of Elite Dangerous. Okay, so some of you may be thinking, no, it's all been retconned. Well, yes and no. Okay, let me show you. Over here. So I'm just going to pop up the Galnet law on hyperspace. Here it is. Okay, so I may have to zoom this up so you guys can read it. Where's my zoom on my browser? There we go. Let's just zoom that up a tiny bit. Okay, it's 150%. There we go. So Galnet News. This is from 3 years ago now, but continuing our popular series on significant episodes from human history, hyperspace technology originated in the 22nd century. Okay, but it wasn't until the 2800s that consumer ships began to take advantage of it. So there's a big gap before we can take advantage of it, right? First commercially available hyperspace system was known as the Faraway Jump. That's where it comes from, right? The Faraway system was far from perfect, however, depending on a complex network of monitoring satellites, branch lines, stop points, and rescue stations. Lifted straight out of here, okay? So it's still canon. All those of you saying, no, it's been retconned. No, it hasn't. Well, at least not all of it, right? A lot of stuff in here is still canon. Some believe that Witch Space... Right, okay, I'll go on, jump here. It took hundreds of years to establish. It's in the law. It's on Galnet. Okay, can't argue with that. It's in game. This was in game. You can't obviously get to Galnet anymore, but that's another story. Okay, so somewhere in between the 22nd century and 2800, somebody constructed satellites, branch lines, stop points, and rescue stations, a hyperspace network. Okay, that we could travel through. Something that you couldn't hyperspace without it. Right? It's like catching a train. You had to kind of get on the Hyperspace Express or something. It was around that time that the phrase Witch Space first appeared, reflecting the inherent dangers of early hyperspace technology and the strange corridor a ship travelled through during a hyperspace jump. Some even believe Witch Space was haunted by ghosts of ships that went into Faraway and didn't come out again. And it's certainly true that a number of ships never reached their destinations. Right? Okay. So far so cool. The original hyperdrives were powered by a fuel known as Quirium, the formula of which is a closely guarded secret, and the formula was lost. Okay, now we'll get to why the formula was lost when we talk about Galcop, because Galcop was the organisation that managed the hyperspace network as it was back then. Somewhere between 2800 and 3100 is the era that Galcop was presiding, and that's where the hyperspace mechanism was designed. Now that organization collapsed. Galcop, the organization that existed politically around the time of the original Elite game, is in the Elite Dangerous lore, but it's gone. It's a collapsed organization. And it had a whole bunch of advanced technology like that hyperdrive system that we saw in the 8-bit version of the game that no longer exists. The secret to it was lost. We don't know how that hyperdrive mechanism worked. And by the time of the original game, by the time of the original game the 8-bit game we were playing, you could hyperspace anywhere you liked. You no longer needed the lanes and the branch things and all the satellite stations. Your ship was self-contained by 3125. Okay, so the Faraway Jump system was replaced. The Faraway Jump system was replaced by autonomous hyperdrive mechanisms. Now, I did a bit of analysis on this many moons ago, and this is what I came up with. Okay, and this has now been archived. Now, I'm not entirely sure anymore whether this is considered canon or not. I want to leave you with something to chew over on this. Now, my lore articles have been archived by Canon Research. Okay, so you can go and read them. If you just type drewwagar hyperspace lore or something like that, you'll find it. Okay, your Google will find it, right? So I came up with this. Circa 2800 AD, the Faraway Jump system is put into operation, and it seems to have branch lines and stop points and all sorts of things. I called it Hyperspace Type 0. Okay, this is just I made this up, right? Just for my own basics. Yeah. And it was noted. Here's a little aside about the Thargoids. Thargoids ships were able to hover in witch space and potentially ambush ships coming through. Okay, so that's something that that Thargoids could do. We don't know exactly when this new type of hyperspace, this autonomous hyperspace, was invented. But it's based on Curium fuel. That's out of here, right? I went and mined this for the information on that, and it's in the original Elite manual too. So that original hyperspace then became compartmentalized, commercialized. You could put it on a ship. Notably, your ship had to be a certain size. Okay, a Cobra Mark III was capable of holding a hyperdrive system, right? In this era, but a Sidewinder, another ship that did exist back then, wasn't big enough. You couldn't put a hyperspace drive on a Sidewinder. Okay, in this era, the ships were too small. So there's still a size limitation. The Cobra Mark III was one of the smallest ships that you could equip a hyperdrive module onto, right? That's why it became such a popular ship, because it was the smallest ship that you could still do useful stuff with. The Sidewinder had to be carried through hyperspace by a bigger ship, like an Anaconda or something. So this technology was very fast, right? This technology was very, very fast. You could only take a few minutes to do your hyperspace jump. You could only travel 7 light years, right? The fuel, curium, we have no idea what it was. There were, but the transit was fast, right? The transit was fast. This was all the Galcop era technology, right? And this, whatever this was, has been lost in the Elite Dangerous lore. The secret to this hyperspace technology has been lost. Because, and we know this because 75 years later is when the second game in Elite Dangerous comes upon us and starts contributing to the lore. So let's pop over to that. And we're going to have to go into 16-bit era now. Here we go. We're now into something called DOSBox. Okay, so this is emulating a PC from 25 years ago. And I'm just going to mount. I'm just going to do some slightly techie stuff here. I think that'll do. Sorry, users. Okay, right. So I'm going to switch to C drive, CD document. I think it's that. Yeah, CD games. Okay, and CD Frontier. Now I've got working copies of the original games on my PC, right? Okay, so a bit like your current PC, yeah. Let's load up. This is the second game in Elite Dangerous, and I have to tell it which sound card I'm using. So here we go. This is the second game. Okay. So graphics technology has moved on a little bit. Okay, so we're now playing Frontier Elite 2, which came out for the PC, came out for the Amiga, and the Atari ST. So for those of you who are into your retro stuff will remember this from years and years and years ago. Now I just need to up the processor power of my pretend PC. Apologies for the music. Actually, there's some lovely instrumental versions of this that are worth checking out on YouTube, because this theme tune is actually really good. It just sounds in this little 16-bit sound card emulation. But there we go. Anyway, so it's quite cool. And you can see how graphics technology has moved on in the intervening years. This is about 10 years later than the 8-bit version. Okay, and this is actually the original Imperial Courier, which back then was a really kind of uber spaceship. So it's quite cool. Planetary Landings, okay, with atmospheric planetary landings were a thing back in 1993. Have yet to be bettered in some ways. You know, bridges and towns and cities and all sorts of stuff. Very cool. Anyway, I get distracted. Now, what I'm going to do is going to start here. I've even got a mouse. Look, this is really cool. I'm going to start. There we go. I know the sky's pink, but you know there's a nice gas giant. What we're going to do is I'm going to just show you our hyperspace jump in this game, because I need you to check something out. Notice the date. It's the 1st of January 3200. We're now 75 years on from the previous game. We actually have a date in the game, which also helps. Now I need to phone up and get a launch request. Have I got fuel on board? Actually, let me just double check that. I don't think I do. No, there's not. There's cargo space 1U. So I've got automatic pilot and atmospheric shielding. That's all I've got. I need to buy some fuel. Now, this is an interesting thing for this game. 75 years later, we now have the Federation and the Empire in the lore. Okay, we now have the Federation and the Empire in the lore. They exist on the galactic map and so on and so forth. But that hyperspace technology has been lost. Federation and Imperial hyperspace technology is way inferior to whatever it was that we had in the Gal Copier. That has been lost. They're using a different type of hyperspace technology, right? So I just need to go to the stock market. I need to buy, because it doesn't run on this weird curium fuel anymore. It runs on pure hydrogen. So I have to buy a ton of hydrogen fuel. Oh, I've actually got one on board, but anyway, it doesn't matter. In order to get my ship to work. Okay, so then I need to request launch, and then I need to launch, and then I'm kind of hoping it's mouse control. It's not. I can't remember what the controls are. I thought it was mouse control. Oh yeah, this is mouse control. There we go. It's right mouse click for reasons. Okay, right. I'm going to accelerate us off the planet. You've got a few cool things here, like we've got external views. There we go. I need to put the undercarriage up. And some stuff like that. Yeah, amazing sound effects, as you can see. There's my. This is actually an Eagle, Eagle Mark 1, I think this is in this version of the game. And we've got clouds, and it's all very pretty, right? And there's a couple. I think there's a couple of missiles underneath, right? So anyway, now you've got this thing here called the Star Dreamer, which becomes important in a bit. I'm just going to. It basically allows us to speed up time, okay, from the perspective of where we are. And I'm just going to get us out into space, because then that allows us to do a hyperspace jump. We don't actually technically have to do it, but you can see, there we go, we're now out in space. We've come out of the atmosphere and we're accelerating away, and we're in space. Space is blue for reasons that have never ever been adequately explained at this time in the Elite Dangerous universe. I don't know why. It was a big deal. There's something about space being blue. I'm not quite sure what it was. But anyway, right. So we go and jump on our. Let's just set the time back to there. All right. Let's do a quick jump to. I don't know. Can we go there? Ellipse on ND, right? My hyperspace indicator shows that I'm okay to jump. So I'm just going to show you this jump now. Notice the time. This is really important. What's the date? Okay, it is 9 minutes past 12. We've been flying the game for 9 minutes of time, right? It's the 1st of January 3200. Okay. I am going to then initiate the hyperspace jump by. Maybe that one's out of range. Oh, it's out of range. Hang on, I've got to go somewhere. There we go. I can go wherever that is. Octurus. Yeah, let's go. Well, let's go to Octurus, right? There we go. I've selected Octurus. I go back here. I'm ready to do a hyperspace jump. Watch the time. This bit here. This bit of the screen here, right? Okay. Watch. Hyperspace jump. And I'm just going to pause the game at that point and get rid of the really annoying music that happens. Oh, God. Right, okay. Pause. Look at the date. Look at the date. Okay. It took us... Oh, annoying sound. There we go. Let's just set the engines to 0. There we go. Right, there we go. Okay, right, pause. Look at the date, right? January the 7th. It took 7 days for us to travel through hyperspace to a destination that was... Okay, where did we come from? We were there. Okay, 7 light years. Okay, 6 days, 10 hours. Someone's worked it out. Okay, so hyperspace in this era, 100 years before the time of Elite Dangerous, is incredibly slow. Okay, and it's only that Star Dreamer time compression technology that makes it bearable. It takes you 7 days to travel through hyperspace. Okay, now this was actually, from the game's perspective, quite a cool dynamic, because what you could do is you could upgrade your hyperdrive and make your ship go through faster relatively. And you could actually ambush ships that were slower. So if you could get a wake scan, right, of a ship going into hyperspace, you could work out where it was going and when it was going to arrive. And if your ship was faster, you could jump to the same place and get there before it did and wait and ambush it when it came out, which was a really cool thing to be able to do, actually. What's not entirely clear here is exactly that command of terraform. Is it experience time for the pilot, or is it done time? It's in the lore. It's not entirely clear, but it seems that there's always a date, right? There's always a date indicated, so it appears to be elapsed time. And whether the pilot just sort of lowers himself into the chair and presses a "wake me up in 7 days" button, and there's like a stasis mechanism aboard the ship, that seems to be supported in the lore. There's a technique. There's a thing called solastoplaston, which is a ghastly name, but it's a technology that somehow deals with inertia and deals with time compression and various other bits and pieces. And the Star Dreamer is the technology that's on board these ships in order for you to make to deal with this weird time dilation, right? Okay. Now, the blue weird thing that you're seeing in the background is the hyperspace exit. You leave behind a sort of glowing sphere when you exit hyperspace, and you can scan, when you've got a properly equipped ship, you can scan it for information and stuff. Okay, so that's how the hyperspace works in this era. Now, here's another thing. Okay, so that's hyperspace. Hyperspace is slow, and it runs on hydrogen by this point in time. Okay, now here's the other thing, right? Notice where we are. This doesn't work like the Elite Dangerous hyperdrive at all. Okay, we've not come out near the star. In fact, we've come out almost as far away from the star as it's possible to be. Let me show you if I can remember how to do it. That one. There we go. Right, so there's Octurus, and actually we are. There we go. Oh, that's, great user interface. Those are the planets in the system, and we're miles out, right? Okay, we're not even on the scanner. So if we want to go somewhere, let's set target to this planet here, right? I'm going to click on the autopilot button, and it's going to fly us there, right? Oh, the blue point is us. Okay, so that's where we are, right? So we've come out in a random location in the solar system. It doesn't always show up, which is a bit. Okay, we're sort of off the plane of the galaxy as well. We're there, look, in a kind of totally random place. So I've set the autopilot to go there. Now, when I click engage, which I've forgotten how to do again. Oh, I think I've switched off the lock. Hang on a minute. There we go. Right, I want that to click on a target. There we go. Autopilot is locked. Why am I not moving? Oh, there we go. I've got to click here. Engines off, autopilot engage. Right, so the ship will now fly itself. Okay, I'm looking in the wrong direction, but now we're flying towards our destination. It's 12 AUs away. Now notice at this point in the original game we'd have used the jump drive to get there fast. In Elite Dangerous we'd engage the frameshift drive to get there fast. In this era of Elite there is no frameshift drive. Okay, the ship has to do it manually in real space. Okay, so fortunately, this will take a long time, right? Okay, I know autopilot. What is this lost technology? This is the stuff that's not consistent in the whole lore, right? There's autopilots and all sorts of stuff, right? All sorts of weird things going on, right? So I have to speed up time. That's the only way to do it. That's what the Star Dreamer is, right? Okay, so we're going to accelerate time to maximum here. Now watch the time go past. 8th of January. Okay. And it's taken us to 9th of January. There we go. It's now halfway through the 9th of Jan. We're closing on target. Oh, now the ship's under attack. Typical. This might kill us actually. But anyway, you can see. I'm just going to pause it because we might get shot to pieces. Let's just turn the engines off. It's exciting stuff, isn't it? There we go. There we go. Just going to pause it there. Travel through the solar system in this era in 3200 is just using main engines, right? Okay, so you have to thrust your way there and then slow down halfway through and then decelerate, right? It takes you days to get from the edge of wherever you hyperspace into to the destination you're going to. So not only does hyperspace take several days, once you've arrived in the system, it takes you several days of time to get to the destination, right? So this technology, from a lore perspective, is way more primitive than what we had 75 years before with Galcop. Okay, so Galcop had some cool technology, and when they collapsed, the secret was lost. And then all that's left is this type of technology, right, which is slow but has much greater jump ranges than before. Okay, so that's how we end up with, and it hasn't changed for many years. So again, I'm going to just close this down. If I can remember how to get out of this game. Is it Control Q, exit, Shift Q? No, Alt X, Shift X, something. I can't remember how to get out of it. Let me kill it. There we go. Right, let me show you the next game. Okay, I won't show it for very long because I don't need to, but it's just for consistency and you know, for people watching after the event. I'm just going to start DOSBox again, right? So here we have. I shouldn't have really done that. Never mind. Mount C drive / users / drew C drive cd document ~1 because we haven't got long file name support at this point in the lore of PCs. We have FFE here and FFE first ink. Okay, so this is the third Elite game. Okay, and this only came out 2 years after the previous one, so it's not really that much different. And there's a whole story about this, which we're not going to get into now, about whether this really was a new game or whether it was actually an expansion pack or stuff. Anyway, but we're not getting there today. You can see the graphics have improved a little bit, but not like hugely. And this is 1995 now. Crucially here, apart from really dodgy music again, let's just switch that off. It's really bad. And let's start a new game. There we go. Right, we've turned the music off. Right, okay, so the UI's changed a little bit, but what you'll notice here is that the technology is exactly the same. Okay, so in the lore, the hyperspace jump, the mechanism to get into the system, has not changed. Okay. Notice the time is now 3250, so we're now only 50 years away from the period of Elite Dangerous. Hyperspace technology is still ultra primitive. Okay, so that's just a little segue. So going back to where we are in, where's my mouse? I've lost my mouse. It's got to be, oh, got my DOSBox still open. That's why. Captures the mouse, right? It's really irritating. So back here, right? So we're still here. Thank you for hanging around, right? In fact, let's just turn around and we'll head back in convoy. I think I've just wandered. I've left the engines running, haven't I? So now we're miles and miles away from where we were. Where's the actual? Completely lost the generation ship. It's over there somewhere, but there we go. Never mind. Yeah. So what happened? Okay, what happened? Well, let's go back to my little version of the lore over here. Okay, so here's the cloud technology. So Hyperspace Type 1 I called Quirium, right? They're the original game vibes. Hyperspace Cloud or Cloud Technology, Hyperspace Type 2B technology is what I called it originally. We lost Quirium, we had to use this new mechanism, right? Now, that's good. We got expanded jump range, which unlocks the galaxy for us, but it's slow, and there are a few variations on it. And then, in the lore, in the year 3290, this frameshift drive mechanism is discovered, right? So a fast, basically this is based on information that I kind of gleaned out of writing for Elite Dangerous. In the late 3290s, a fast hyperdrive mechanism was perfect that immediately makes those old jump drive technologies obsolete, right? And it was researched, and you'll find this in Galnet if you go back far enough, by a ship called the Starship Antares, or Antares. Okay, so it was a ship that tried this new style technology jump drive and actually was destroyed, right? Okay, so it was a bit of a problem. But it was so much more effective because it not only somehow gave you fast hyperspace and extended range, but also brought you back to that Galcop era speed of hyperspace travel. You could then almost instantly get to your destination, which totally revolutionizes hyperspace travel in the year 3290, right? And then, as you can see, this is my rationale for why a lot of the ships from the Elite 2 and Elite 3 games do not appear in Elite Dangerous, is that you can't necessarily, they basically be made obsolete overnight. Okay, it's like a horse and cart suddenly being replaced by the internal combustion engine. The new hyperspace is so effective that it wipes out all the all the old tech, and nobody needs it anymore. Because why would you keep it? Because it's useless, right? The frameshift drive is making things much faster. You can now travel from a space station in one system to a space station in the other system in a matter of minutes, whereas it used to take 2 weeks. Okay, so why wouldn't you? Okay, so all the other technology is effectively gone. Now that is all based on original lore and original information, and extracts from all the various different manuals. It took me to took all those kind of things in. Now, interesting enough, I wrote this. I can't remember exactly when I wrote this, but I certainly wrote it many years ago, right? And I put a little bit at the end here, just for a bit of fun in some ways. Even after all this time, hyperspace is not still well understood. The Witch space tunnel that's traversed still hosts inexplicable lights and structures within it, and it seems hyperspace will hold its mysteries in the lore for centuries to come. Perhaps Witch space really is haunted. Of course, this was before hyperdictions and all that kind of stuff. So there's some weird stuff going on. Now, interestingly enough, and read into this what you will, I wrote that. And it was online for maybe 3 or 4 months, right? And I'd got, none of this is, these naming conventions here are not official. Okay, this was my reference: Hyperspace Type 0, Hyperspace Type 1, Type 2B, and I called frameshift drive Hyperspace Type 3, and it's just really my mnemonic. Okay, then a few months later, to be fair, this article here appeared, and it's interesting, and it talks about Quirium, and then halfway down, that appeared, and I remember reading this, thinking, "Oh, that's interesting. Where did they get that from?" And a few bits and pieces of this text. I mean, it's been rewritten, right? But it's if I was being a little bit cruel, right, I would say that somebody at Frontier had gone, "Oh, that's quite good. Let's rewrite that and pinch it and turn it into Galnet for the week." That may be being a bit unfair, because obviously they're working from some of the same material. But I'd never seen Type 2B appear in anything official, right? So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here?" And then I went down today, right? And then look at this last paragraph, right? So I wrote, "Even after all this time, hyperspace is still not well understood. Okay, even today, hyperspace remains poorly understood. The Witch space tunnel that's traversed still hosts inexplicable lights and structures within it. Many pilots have reported glimpsing inexplicable lights and even structures within the Witch space tunnel." And then it seems hyperspace will hold its mysteries and lore for centuries to come. Perhaps which space really is haunted. It may be centuries before all of its mysteries are unravelled. Well, it's not the same, right? It's kind of like we got an essay off the internet and changed some of the words and then passed it off. So I may be being totally unkind. It may be a complete coincidence. But anyway, so when I read that, I remember chuckling to myself, thinking, I wonder if they've. I'd put this together really mostly for my benefit, and a few people cottoned onto it, and so it seems it's sort of a bit become law, and maybe a bit not. So, but Type 2B is in there, right? So, and that's something that I invented, but it sort of got canonized by Galnet, in January 3303. So, totally a coincidence. Totally a coincidence. So there we go. But what this does say is it basically does back up my unofficial explanation, which is there was a faraway jump system that got made obsolete by the Quirium system, which was a closely guarded secret, and then we lost that technology. The Type 2B proved very popular, and then we talk about the hyperspace cloud that you saw in the games, and then in the late 3290s a new hyperspace system emerged that rendered those drives obsolete, and now we have the modern frameshift drive system. Now I called it Type 3, as you can see here, and then it replaced Type 2B, and I can't remember why I called it Type 2B. I think a couple of you asked what happened to Type 2A. Well, I can't even remember now my rationalization for calling it 2B, but I think I did it to make it sound sort of like there was a variant that didn't work or something like that. I can't even remember now. But whoever it was that wrote this Galnet article, and it wasn't me, I promise. He just took it and went with it, right? So there we go. Okay, so so that's how the hyperspace has evolved. So there was a system that was designed from the sort of 2800s onwards, that had branch lines and switchbacks and all sorts of stuff in it, and then it was replaced by this Quirium hyperspace drive that we see in the original 8-bit games, which was fast but had a 7 light year limit. Then that's lost. That secret is lost, and the Federation and the Empire have an inferior version of hyperspace, which takes a long time to get anywhere. Okay, which is why Galcop. There's a lot of tension between Galcop and the Federation and the Empire, which we will get to, right? That's going to be a topic for next week. You had to have that time compression technology and all sorts of other bits and pieces to deal with the fact it was just took an awfully long time to get anywhere. And then 2090, as the new game starts, right, 10 years effectively in the timeline before the new game starts, radical new technology is derived from somewhere. It's tested out on this ill-fated starship Antares. You can look that up in the lore. That's quite interesting. And then the Type 2B hyperspace drive is gone. It's obsolete, along with a whole bunch of ships that used it. Right? They were never retrofitted. Now you can jump way further, way fast. You can jump things, much quicker than you could before. So, anyways. Oh, I'm not quite sure what happened with between my article and the official Galnet one, but there we go. I'll leave you to speculate on that one. It made me chuckle either way. Now, the interesting thing about all this, right? The interesting thing about this is the bubble. Okay, what used to be called the core world, but the bubble as it is, you guys all call it the bubble. I don't know quite where the bubble came from actually as a thing, but. What it means is, an area of space, right? A bubble, right? Now, if we have a look, I'm just going to zoom out here. I'm going to switch on the power play. If I can remember how to do it. There it is. Okay, I'm going to switch on the power. Oh, there you go. So there's power play, right? Okay, and we are. Where are we? We're kind of in the top corner of it. I'm just trying to get a feel for here. So if I choose a system down here, it is, well, let's just zoom in on that one. I'm just going to get a rough estimation, right, for the diameter of this bit. Okay, so that is telling me the distance, if I just go back to realistic mode, okay, it's about 200 light years there. So the bubble, or at least the power play environment, is probably about 350, maybe 400 light years across. Okay, the pill was later. Yes, it was the pill in Alpha. I remember that. I remember the pill. So let's say the power play area is about 200, maybe 350 light years in diameter, right? If we go to the map and we switch on, we can see here the inhabited systems. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this to economy. There we go, and switch off the nuns, right? So here we can see how far does the inhabited bubble stretch, right? It stops about there, and it stretches a fair way, okay? But then it stops quite abruptly, right? So that's the bubble, right? In my head, right? It's probably maybe 600-700 light years in diameter. It's not super huge, right? It's not super huge, and that's the established area of humanity, okay? And that's maybe 700-800 light years across. Now, when your ship, right? When your ship takes, I don't know, a week to do a 7 light year jump, you can see that jumping across something this big is a bit of an undertaking, right? Travel across the bubble pre-Elite Dangerous drives, right, would take you, would take you months, possibly even years, right? So exploration and just general trade was a big deal. In fact, if you wanted to go, if you were the Federation and you wanted to go invade some Empire systems, right, it would take you some time to do it, okay? And you'd have to build up a fleet, and you'd have to have staging points and all sorts of stuff, right? Now, today we have ships that can travel. And I mean, tell me, what's the maximum jump range you can achieve? Not counting, neutron star boosts and all that stuff and jumponium, but just straight hyperspace jump range, right? I mean, you're talking 60, 70, 80 light years. I mean, what's the upper limit on an Anaconda without assistance nowadays? 82. There we go. Okay, so 82 light years, 70, 82. 82 is the maximum jump range, right? What that means is, with the Elite Dangerous era ships, right, is the bubble is totally meaningless, right? Because you can go anywhere in the bubble within half an hour, right? It's 800, even if it's 800 light years across, that's 10 jumps for a ship of that kind. Okay, and it's going to be a bit slower when you fill it up with fuel and cargo space and stuff. And yeah, but you can. The point is made, right? You can travel across the bubble in a matter of hours now. Now that should have changed the political structure of the galaxy, utterly. Okay, a technology like that should completely blow the bubble apart, because prior to Elite Dangerous, any kind of military, any kind of invasion would have required resources to be built up over weeks and months and years and right? Whereas with this new hyperspace technology, the sky's the limit. The old boundaries no longer make any sense, because you can just circumvent them, right? Territories don't really make any sense because you can go round them. There's no choke points anymore, because you can just go around the bag, and apart from permit locks, right? I mean, that's another topic. This technology should have made a massive reorganisation of politics as well, and we don't see that. One of the things I always found a bit frustrating about power play, right, is like, why the hell would humanity keep arguing about this bubble of stuff when we can just literally just go away and colonize vast tracts of the galaxy, right? And just go out there. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Why are you fighting around here when there's loads of resources around the outside? Law-wise, it's a bit confusing, but it basically shows you the total and utter revolution that the frameshift drive should have been, right? And has to be in the law. That's kind of really, really important. So that hyperspace technology is weird, right? Now let's do a hyperspace jump. Let's just jump across to, where should we go? Hang on a minute. I'm just thinking. Where's me? There we are. Come back here. I've got a list of the generation ships up here. Let's go to, while we're here, and I just want to talk about hyperspace, and let's just have a look at hyperspace when we're in it. Let's go to the, how far away is the Kite system? So we can stop at another generation ship. Okay, it's not too far away. Right, so let's switch off that. Okay, go to the Kitei system. Okay, it's not too far away. For my ship, that's going to be a couple of jumps. Now, as we do the jumps, right? As we do the jumps, let's talk about hyperspace as it appears in Elite Dangerous, right? So again, look at the jump. So off we go. Full thrust, hyperspace jump to the system. Okay, so we're charging the drive. It's quite similar to the Galcop era, right? In the sense that it has to charge up. In fact, it takes even longer to charge up here than it did then. Okay, and some of that's gamey. I get that. You can't be totally and utterly tied to realism. But we jump into this, right? Now, where is this? Okay, we're flying through stuff, right? There's lights in here. There's structure. We're flying through some other place, right? And then we emerge at the star. Okay. Now, why do we emerge at the star? Well, there's no real reason in the lore as to why we emerge at the star. We're heading for the Kitei system. Fuel scooping is very similar to the original game. If you join me on Saturdays, you can watch me do some fuel scooping on occasion. So let's just jump to the Kitei system. But notice the Kitei system is in, as you can see, we can see the stars 25 light years away. My Cobra's quite good. Okay, Kitei system is where we're heading. I've just cooked my ship slightly there. Apologies for that. 25 light years away. We can see it visually. Okay. There is no nebula between us and the Kitei system. We are not traveling through normal space. Okay, we're not traveling through normal space when we go into hyperspace. We're going somewhere else. Now, I still call that zone witch space, right? And from what I've seen of the way that hyperdictions work, I've actually been hyperdicted myself a couple of times on stream, which was really, really cool when I went out to the Pleiades. Thargoids are able to rip you out of wherever this is, right, and drop you back into normal space. So this is a space. Now we are not, as you can see, got my hotels. I can't navigate in here. I'm locked on a track, right? As you all know, you're familiar with this. But we can't navigate in there. Yet it seems, and according to the lore, Thargoids are able to navigate in that zone. Okay. So we're not going to talk about the Thargoids too much because I've got an entire episode on them coming up. But Thargoids have way more advanced hyperspace, not necessarily technology, but perhaps understanding is a better way of talking about it, right? So they are able to manipulate the hyperspace to their whim. You will notice when you encounter a Thargoid, when they leave, you never encounter a Thargoid using the frameshift drive. Okay, they're always either in real space or they're accessing hyperspace. They don't appear in frameshift, right? You only see human commanders using frameshift. So it seems the Thargoids don't have that frameshift Alcubierre warp drive technology at all, or if they do, they don't use it. So that's an interesting question. We'll cover that a little bit more with the Thargoids. And there is a lot of speculation around where does our own hyperspace technology come from, and we'll go into that with the Thargoid thing, because there's some links in the lore to that. Okay. So there we go, and that's a bit of a strange thing. Now, while we're here, let us go to the Venusian generation ship. We should be able to find that if I can remember how to do an FSS scan again. So I need to throttle down. I used to know this. My muscle memory's gone a bit. There we go. Orbital plane established. Okay, and we're back. And hopefully, there's all sorts of stuff going on here. Is it showing up? Ooh, Zephyrus. No, that's a system. What did I say? I've already lost it. We're looking for Venusium. Okay. Oh, hang on. That one's 2.5k towards Zephyrus. That means what? We have to fly in that direction. I thought we'd have picked it up on the scanner. Okay, hang on. Let's just look at it here again. There's a conflict zone. Bellamy Dock. There's a tanker. Where's the gen ship is the question. Does anybody know in the chat? I've just been looking that one up because it was quite close by. After entering the system, orientate your ship towards the Zephyrus system. Okay, let's do that. Because 2.5k light seconds isn't too far. Okay, so let's just head that way. Right, so follow me, everybody, and we'll see if we can encounter it. Frameshift drive. So this is the frameshift drive. Okay, is our ability to travel at super light speeds yet in the solar system. Oh, there it is. I've got it. Right, there we go. That's cool. Okay, right. So can I? Oh, I can't lock onto it. That's interesting. Right, so I'm going to just have to adjust the frameshift drive manually. Right, so we'll drop out there, and that will be our point. So maybe my FSS didn't pick it up for whatever reason, but there we go. So yeah, the frameshift drive is a capability that we have in Elite Dangerous. Now, let me just show you one other thing, okay? And I'll wait till we get there and drop out, because I want to show you the original Elite again, okay? Because of this frame shifting mechanism, right? And it's interesting that the frameshift drive exists in the way it does. Now, this is partly because of the fans, actually. Something called the what was it called? The DDF, which originally stood for Design Decision Forum, and then later got renamed to Design Discussion Forum, for reasons that we were not. We don't need to go into now, but that's the law of Elite Dangerous, right? Rather than that's sort of the meta law, rather than the actual law. But in there, originally, Frontier had come up with the idea of micro jumps between various different points of interest in the system, and then the fans didn't like that, okay, because it wasn't very elite-y, right? What they came up with is this frameshift drive, which allows you to move around the space in the system, and then these kind of POIs that you can then lock onto and then drop into. In order to give you the ability to fly around in space. And so the frameshift drive allows you to move around a solar system or a star system at a reasonable rate, many times faster than the speed of light. You can see I'm slowing down now, but I was up to like 21 times the speed of light, right? Or super cruise, exactly right, as we call it. And it's pretty handy, right? Because otherwise, things, and it's there's the whole multiplayer design of the game and all that sort of stuff as well. So this stuff is interesting because this is design consideration. So the frameshift drive is all about allowing us to move around quickly. Okay, now micro jumps are quite interesting. I tend to agree that I didn't. There we go. And there's another generation ship. Very nice too. Venusian generation ship. So let's just hold position. There's a slightly different design here, but very similar layout to the previous one. Now let me just go and fire up that original Elite again, because I want to show you something there. Spectacular. Now I'm going to use the Spectrum version, because actually this bit of it is better than the Elite version, the BBC version. So let me just go and get that reasonable save game. Let's just launch on the ship. I'm going to do a hyperspace jump very quickly. And wrong map. There we go. And I've forgotten how to play. Oh, it's crashed again. Why does it keep doing this? I'm going to have to investigate, because something's not quite happy. Anyway, right. That'll do. Come on. Let me just give me a hyperspace jump to Leasty. Okay, so in the original game, you hyperspace somewhere really fast, as we've talked about. Through which space, right? Okay, it's just circles, I know, but it's still a tunnel, right? It bears some resemblance to Elite Dangerous. And then when you arrive in the system, you're a long way from the planet, okay? And watch what happens now, okay? I can speed up. I can travel through real space to get there, but that will take quite a long time. So I have what's called in the Spectrum version a Taurus drive. On the BBC version, I think it's called the Skip drive, okay? And watch what happens, okay? So I press engage the drive, and I magically move closer to the planet until I get mass locked by the presence of another ship, okay? So I get forced out of whatever that is. And that, I believe, is just an asteroid. So I'm just going to kill it, and then we'll continue on. Oh, it's not an asteroid. Oh, now I'm in trouble. And that's launching ships at me. Oh, there we go. A crate and a... Oh, I'm dead again. But anyway, there we go. Okay, so you saw it, right? Let me shut that down and go back to really. So it's one of the problems of the 8-bit game, right? Is it's really hard to distinguish between asteroids and other ships. So what happened there was, right, there was like a frame shifty type drive in the original Elite, right? So not only did we lose hyperspace tech, we also lost that torus skip jump drive technology in real space as well. So in many ways, what we have now with hyperspace and the frameshift drives in Elite Dangerous is actually much closer to the original Elite game, and thus in the lore the original technology from 200 years ago, than actually some of the intervening stuff. So it's all quite interesting, right? All quite interesting how that's kind of gone almost full circle, partly because of game design, but partly in the lore, hyperspace technology has evolved. And we're now at a place where hyperspace has unlocked the galaxy. We can travel across the galaxy at extremely, really fast rates, and things have kind of moved on. So hyperspace is now a big, big deal. It's commercially available. Everybody's got it. It's been commercialized, and you can stick it in a Sidewinder, and then you can pretty much go anywhere you like, right? And that's how the lore has changed with hyperspace. So generation ships were really, really early on, maybe 70,000 of them. That's how the initial bubble was colonized. Then hyperspace technology slowly evolves. It takes a long time to get going, but by 2800 we have that branch line network of navigable hyperspace technology, but it's only for people who've got access to it, right? So there's permits and tolls and all this. It's like a road network, right? But hyperspace. And then as the original game happens in 3125, hyperspace evolves to a point where you can fit it aboard a relatively small ship and go and do it yourself. And that's how the original Elite portrays it. Then Galcop collapses. That's a whole subject by itself, which we'll be covering next week. What happened to Galcop? This amazing organization that suddenly fell apart, right? And then the Federation and the Empire is all that's left. And then we've lost that technology. The Federation and Imperial technology is way inferior to what Galcop had. And it takes us then another 100 years to get a hyperspace technology that's as good as, or even surpasses what was available in the Galcop. So that story there is a little bit like the collapse of the Roman Empire, right, where we lose technology for hundreds of years, and we don't exceed, if we look at our own history, we don't exceed the levels of technology in the Roman Empire until maybe almost the Renaissance, right? Over 1,000 years later. So these things do happen in real history, right? We regress for a time, and that's what happened in the Elite Dangerous universe with the hyperspace tech. And we still don't understand it completely. The Thargoids can do things in hyperspace which we can't do. They seem to be able to do point-to-point travel. We can't do that. The only exception is, and again, this isn't confirmed anywhere that I've been able to establish in the lore, is what do the big ships do, okay? And maybe the fleet carriers as well, right? Now, they seem to go through a cloud, right? It's not quite like the Frontier Elite 2 and Frontier First Encounters, but the Imperial capital ships and the Federation capital ships, the Interdictor class big things, right? And the fleet carriers appear to be able to go through a cloud. They sort of move through a sort of lightning conducting cloud, which looks very similar to the Frontier Elite 2 and the Frontier First Encounters effect if you kind of took it into the universe of Elite Dangerous and improved the graphics, right? So speculation, because it's not confirmed in the lore anywhere I found, but maybe those big ships still use a version of the 2B, what I call, and now what's in Galnet, the 2B drive, okay? Because that drive did at least allow you not to be tied to going to the sun every time, like the current frameshift drive hyperspace technology does. So speculation, but those big ships may be using a modified version of the 2B drive, which allows them to hyperspace to a specific point. And we know now in the lore, because the fleet carriers are doing this, is that they can come out of hyperspace. Their hyperspace jumps allow them to come out of hyperspace in orbit around astronomical bodies other than the star, right? So it's clearly capable of doing so. I don't think it's been written anywhere about exactly what the fleet carrier's hyperspace technology is. So that is that is a bit of speculation. That is a bit of speculation. So there we go. I don't know. That is something that's I'm going to keep following actually with a little bit of interest to see if they do expand on it, because I don't think it's been written down anywhere how that technology works. It's not in Galnet as far as I've been able to find. There's lots of stuff there. Okay. And that's basically how the hyperspace technology has evolved over all those kind of years, right? So we have Galnet talking about the overall hyperspace technology. We have the generation ships way back in the day, and then hyperspace slowly takes over. And by the time of Elite Dangerous, it's ubiquitous everywhere, right? Hyperspace is available in virtually every ship. Every ship that certainly the players can fly, and we can use it to traverse the galaxy. And its jump range has been improving in a very, very short frame of time. But there's still a lot we don't know about it, particularly around the kind of the Thargoids and some of its capabilities. So hyperspace may change, right? Hyperspace may change, and I don't know what we'll see in the new era. Maybe new stuff will be coming along. So all sorts of things to kind of keep an eye out for there. So there we go, my friends. There we go. We'll talk a little bit about the Thargoids in an upcoming stream, and kind of go through that sort of stuff as well, because they've got some stuff about hyperspace in them as well. And there's also the Alliance. Okay, now the Alliance is a little bit later on. I'm just trying to remember when I'm talking about the Alliance. It's quite a way down. Let me just have a quick look, because I can't remember when I've scheduled it in. Leave Dangerous Law Tour. There we go. It's far faster to find it on Google. It is to find it on my own website. Right, when am I talking about? Right, the history of the Alliance is a few weeks away, right? So we're going to be talking about them. They've got some stuff about the hyperspace as well. So, and there's connections with the Thargoids and various other bits and pieces in there as well. And I think someone's just raided me. So hello to whoever's done that. Jack Little is raiding me. Hello, good to see you guys. Thank you very much for turning up. That's awesome. So yeah, there's still more of this story to come, right? Okay, and there's a few leads and things that we need to kind of need to play with there too. So yeah, lots more to come. Next week, I'm hoping again to have a special guest on, but we're going to be sticking with the lore. Okay, so unlike just a more general chat like we had with Kate, we're sticking with the lore, because I've got lined up one of the original people who's worked on the lore of Elite for many decades, and I hope you have him in the chat. And we're going to be talking about Galcop. Okay, so we're going to go back in time and concentrate a bit more on the 8-bit era, and talk about the political structure of the galaxy as it was from 2800, which is kind of where we've got up until the era of the original games, 3125, and talk about Galcop and what happened there. Okay. And pick that a little bit apart so you can see the background to it. So yes, Daddy Hoggy already got it. So I'm hoping to have, and I will confirm with him this week. He certainly said he was up for it. Mr. Dave Hughes, Mr. Dave I can't say his word. Selezin. He will shoot me. Anyway, Dave Hughes, right? He will hopefully be joining me next week to talk us through Galcop, and some of the cool stuff around that structure of the original game and the political environment that was around before we learnt about the Federation of the Empire in the lore. And so we'll start there. Now that means I will need you to all rendezvous in the Lave system. Okay, now the Lave system is incredibly important to Elite. Alan Stroud set a book there, Lave Revolution, which is worth a read, and it is kind of the place where Elite's story starts in many ways. It's the place that you launched out of in the original game, and lots of stuff happens there. It's I think I'm right in saying actually even the Dark Wheel starts in Lave. Yes, it does. So the first thing that's ever written down in the Elite thing there, from the moment the trading ship Avalonia slipped its orbital berth above the planet Lave. So Lave is where everything starts, right? That's where the lore starts, the Lave system. So head to the Lave system. It's easy to find. It's not too far away from the core worlds. Sorry, it's in the core worlds. But it's in a part of the galaxy that Dave Hughes and I have always called the old worlds. Okay, there it is there. So that's where you've got to go for next week. All right. Lave system. And there's a few other interesting places around here as well, which we will tour around and talk about. And that's going to be quite good fun. So, so see you there. See you in Lave for the next episode of the Elite Dangerous Lore Tour, the unofficial Elite Dangerous Lore Tour, hosted by your host, drewwagar. I can't do that seriously. Thank you again ever so much for coming. It's lovely to see somebody coming along, right, and being interested in the background lore. So, you know, this tour is aimed at, you know, some of the veterans who might not have covered this in the past, but more it's aimed at anybody who just wants to kind of get a toehold on the lore and understand it. You know, I'm not going to dive into everything in detail because there's so much more for you to go off and have a look at, right? There's all those generation ships. We were told there were 16 of them. So, you know, you go off and find them, right? Go and look at all the ships nodding on the screen. You know, go and check out the logs. But you know, there's some good stories and stuff to dig into there again. So it's all kind of good fun, right? It's all supposed to be fun and enjoyable and give you the kind of background. But you know, when you're playing the game, you're in the year 33. What are we now? 3306. There is some history to why you're in a ship with a hyperspace technology and why, you know, the bubble is the way it is and why, you know, different ship designs are out there and all sorts of stuff. And we're slowly digging into that sort of stuff. It gives you a grounding for the game. It makes the game more fun to play, right? That's the way I always look at these things. That's what lore is for. You know, it's not a box where you make, well, that's not in the lore, you can't say that. You know, it's designed to add more to the game. That's what lore's all about, and that's what all the stories and stuff are about too. It gives you a bit more flavour and make the thing more fun to play in. So that's my aim with these tours, right? Is to make your gameplay experience that little bit better. So thank you very much for your company. Always good. Meet us in the Lave system for next week, and we will start talking about the old world, Galcop, and that whole piece of interesting Elite Dangerous history, which is really around the original game, very close to my heart. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I know Dave is a massive original Elite fan as well, so we'll be talking about that kind of good stuff. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So see you there. Right on, Commanders. Yeah, 07. I got to use that hand, haven't I? It's a left-handed salute for 07. But I will see you next week. Thank you very much. See you in the Lave system. Be good. Take care of the virus. Do the usual sensible stuff right. And see you soon. You guys have an absolute great time. If you want to join me tomorrow for a bit of Stellaris, please do. And on Saturday, of course, an ongoing playthrough of the ZX Spectrum Elite. I'm trying to capture all the original missions on YouTube, so that's what I'll be doing there. So keep an eye out for that, and I will see you all soon. Take care, right on, Commanders, and be good.